Where are all my job seekers at? Are you a recent graduate? Or maybe you're in a job and you're just not feeling it right now. Or maybe you've retired, but you realize you're not quite ready to retire. Wherever you're at in your career path, I want you to grab your laptop, your notebook, your water, coffee, and I want you to buckle in because we have the Women of Wealth Summit today. And this summit is for anyone that is looking for career opportunities. What's that? You're not looking for a job? That's okay. We all know someone who's been affected by 2020 and everything going on that is probably looking for a job. So I want you guys to share, hit that share button right now, and let's help as many people as we can today by getting this broadcast out and sharing new opportunities. Hey, are you tired of working for corporate America where they tell you when you can take off work and they tell you how much money you can earn? You might be working your butt off and you get the same 3% raise as your coworker who calls in sick every Monday. Is that fair? No, it's not. Why don't you take your career into your own hands and create your own success and determine your own wealth and create that flexible schedule that you want? We all know that some people, right, they're homeschooling or there's virtual or distance learning. How hard is that when you have to go to a job, when you have to leave your house, leave your children, and go into an office? Wouldn't you rather work remotely and make as much money as you're worth? Make as much money as you deem worthy and valuable for yourself. Have you started or have you thought about starting your own business, but you're like, that's way too much hassle for me, Mary. There's all the startup costs and I don't know how to start a business. What if I told you there was a way that you could start a business and have a corporate nationwide company behind you and a team to support you every step of the way? You can. And we're going to tell you all about this opportunity in just a moment. Before we get started, we are using StreamYard. Thank you, StreamYard. High five. To stream this to all of our different platforms. In order for us to see your comments, we just need you to grant access to StreamYard. And this amazing lineup of speakers, they want to hear from you today. They're going to be sharing their successes and their pitfalls because let's be real, it's not all sunshine and rainbows, right? Hi, I'm Mary Fain Brandt. I'm the co-host and producer of the Women of Wealth Online Summits. Our host today, Holly Woods Gray, will be joining us along with some other people from her team. Now, the one thing about everyone joining us, they're all married. Well, wait, what I meant to say, they're all married and they built a successful business together while keeping their marriage intact. We're going to find out what those secrets are in just one moment. Let's go ahead and welcome Holly. Hey, Holly.
Hi. Hello, everyone. Welcome. You guys are in for a treat today. I've invited a couple of the most successful couples in our company, but it hasn't always been sunshine and roses, and you'll hear their stories. They're awesome. When I first started in the business back in 2011, I was brought into the company after I closed down my volleyball club. I worked very closely with this one couple who wasn't even married yet when I first met them. And so you're going to get to hear about Brett and Mercedes more and how they've had their journey to success. And again, Bobby and I are in business together. My husband, Bobby, and I are in business together, but we didn't start out that way. And so we're going to share about that. And then I also have the fabulous Jennifer and Adam, or some of you know him as James Johnson, that are joining us as well. So they're all the way out in Florida now, and they're going to talk a little bit about their journey from one side of the USA to the West Coast and back to the East Coast. and they're going to talk about how they've had successes and trials along the way. So I'm really excited to do something different this month. As Mary mentioned, we do have a lot going on. We have distance learning. We have, in California, we have the fires coming up and down. I'm sure Adam and Jen do not miss those fires because I know that those affected them up in LA quite a bit. We have, a lot of things going on, but at the same time, at Appreciation Financial, we've been able to really take advantage of the opportunity and show a lot of people how to continue to make and save money to create life-changing wealth. And one of our principles here at Appreciation Financial is to get better every day. And that's what we're looking to do with these shows that we're hosting, as well as give people opportunity to find out about the Appreciation Financial opportunity and if it's right for you. So Mary.
Hey, I just want to take a minute. Like, I don't work for Appreciation Financial, you guys. Holly and I have known each other. I am a career coach, so I'm always looking for opportunities for my job seeker community. And the more I learn about this, the more I'm like, this is an amazing opportunity because it can really be tailored to where you're at in your career. So shout out to your team. Shout out to Appreciation Financial. You guys, I really want you to share. So hit that share button below and let's get everyone employed. Let's end 2020 on a better note than what we started it on, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It has been a little bit of a challenge, but I will say at Appreciation Financial, as we're heading into the final quarter of the year, we've had some record-breaking months, even through what's been happening for the last 6 months as we've been in lockdown and other things across the nation.
And that's one of the selling points, or one of the, what I love about the company is you are in charge of your success. At a corporate company, if they're doing layoffs, you really can't do anything about that. If the brick and mortar is shut down, how many of us have known people that have lost their jobs this year? I mean, in a few months. I know 2 of my closest friends lost their jobs and they're still looking for that next career move. Maybe I should tell them.
Are they on today? Get them back. Get them on here.
Okay, let me text them real quick. Shelly, Sarah. No. But so I'm really excited to bring you this monthly series here live on LinkedIn and on Facebook so that we can just provide you with a different opportunity that maybe you haven't thought about. I know it's not something I've thought about, and I kind of talked to my husband about it. We might be that power couple one day. It could happen. You just never know.
I'm ready for it. Come on in. So I think we should get Jen and Adam in here so we can hear a little bit about their story and find out their journey. So I met Jen and Adam when they first started with Appreciation Financial. And I'm not going to steal their thunder, but they're an awesome couple. They're a power couple at Appreciation Financial. Jen has been the #1 earner in our company a couple years ago. She was the first female to hit that. So, I love that with Women of Wealth. So welcome, Johnsons. Please just share with us a little bit about how you got to Appreciation Financial and what it's like working together a little bit.
Yeah, well, thanks for having us.
Yeah,
we're really
definitely.
excited to join today. So Appreciation Financial wasn't something that was on our radar at first. To be completely honest, I was a college student looking to major in pediatric oncology, and my husband was majoring in business administration as well. And so it just kind of fell into our laps through our old company that we were working for. That old company was doing mortgage protection, insurance leads, and it was really, you had to go in, you had to do some cold calling, which wasn't something that we loved doing, but we did do it. And we know that we didn't want to live paycheck to paycheck anymore. We knew that, we were a young family. We did have babies that were, our oldest was 11 at the time. Yeah. Our youngest was 5 at the time. Yep. And we just wanted to have the freedom to be able to spend more time with them, create more memories with them, and really just have the lifestyle that we had always dreamed of when we were younger.
Yeah, exactly. So when we finally got introduced to the opportunity at Appreciation, it didn't take us very long to mull it over before we decided to come over. I think for us, the biggest thing, and Mary and Holly kind of alluded to the opportunity earlier, but a lot of it's the fact that it was on us, right? And Jen and I weren't in a great financial situation by any means when we first came to Appreciation Financial, but we believed in us, right? That we could create something if we worked together and worked hard and put our all into it. And then, of course, the other part of the opportunity with appreciation was the passive income thing. And, for me, I don't mind working hard. I just don't want to do it forever. Right. So I love the possibility of creating something that would, continue to pay us out consistently, potentially even generations to come. So, really love that about it. Was incredibly excited that we had found something that potentially we could build a business, and not just, to Jen's point with mortgage protection, not just a book of business, but an actual business. So yeah, we got started.
Right on. And so, you guys have a unique story because you started off your appreciation business in Florida. Then you transitioned out to LA for a few years, and now you guys are back in Florida. So why don't you share a little bit about that journey? Because that wasn't always bells and whistles that you thought it might be when you first said, yay, I'm going to the bright lights of LA, right?
Right.
Yeah. So it wasn't, right? But building a business is not always sunshine and rainbows. There are hurdles, right? And those hurdles are what we stride over in order to get to those levels of successes that we want to be at. So we were proud owners of our first home in Mineola, Florida, and we weren't making the money that we had dreamed or anticipated when we had came over that we were going to make. And we had a little bit of a negative mindset about it. We're all like, well, why aren't we doing it? Then the opportunity presented itself to go to LA and help open the office up there and kind of create a name for appreciation out there and for ourselves. So we, inside of 60 days, we sold everything in our house. We literally packed up our 2 cars, a little Honda Civic and a little Ford Fusion, with our 3 kids and our 2 dogs. And we literally drove across the United States to Burbank, California, where we moved in from a 3,200 square foot house into a little over 1,000 square foot apartment, to where we just were laser focused on building a business. And those walls got a little small at times.
Yeah, I can imagine that, definitely. But I mean, it's been such a great story. Now, I mentioned the fires happening. I know you guys are not missing that fire season that we have here in California at all, because you guys had to deal with that one time was when we were coming back from one of the trips, right?
Yeah, we were in Costa Rica.
Yep. Yeah.
Yep.
So that's really, really scary.
Yeah, and I think that, well, one of the things that we know is that we have the freedom in this company, right? If there are fires, if your children are being homeschooled or virtual school right now, you have the freedom to have the flexibility, right? That if there's an appointment that can wait, well, guess what? Your kids or the safety of your household can come first without any explanation that you have to give to your employer.
Yep. And so another question that I have for you guys is just tell us a little bit about the culture and like one of the mantras that you feel like you guys identify with the most here at Appreciation.
The culture is absolutely unbelievable. It's probably my favorite part about working with the company, outside of being able to build a business and the opportunity and all the things that we talked about. The culture that we have here, I mean, we're all friends, and we're kind of in it together, and it's certainly not typical insurance agency whatsoever. Of course, we have friends in the trips and all the times that we're together, but even the day-to-day stuff, it's so easy to work with everybody else across the country. It's amazing. My favorite mantra, and Jen might have her own, my favorite is that we get better every day. And I feel like that's literally how Jen and I have built our business, is just we work so much and invest so much of our time and our money on ourselves and making us better. So that one really, I think, speaks to me the most.
100% agree. I wouldn't be me if I didn't really latch on to that mantra. I was a person that was stuck in her ways, had a very, negative mindset to certain things, and was just very bow-headed. And I needed to take a step back to be able to get better every single day to be where I'm at today.
And I know both of you have really been involved with helping us create quite a bit of the sales and marketing material, some of the training. Talk a little bit about the training that goes on, because Mary alluded to it a little bit, like at Appreciation Financial, you're in business for yourself. However, you're not in business by yourself. So I don't care which one of you want to take it, because I know you guys both have been instrumental in it.
Yeah, I certainly don't mind taking a little bit of that. So, we talk about the sunshine and rainbows. When Jen and I first came over there wasn't a whole lot of training available to us, unfortunately. And there was probably more than we were able to seek out, just because when we came in, we were kind of opening a new market. Things were a little bit different. And certainly Brett and Mercedes and Holly and Bobby will talk more about that, I'm sure, in their experience. But Jen and I just knew that in order to grow our organization, but the company as an all, we were going to have to put a little bit more effort into exactly how we end up, training our new agents and transitioning them out of other jobs or other situations, like Mary was talking about, being able to bring them into the organization and really get them making the level of income that they need to, certainly pay their bills at first, right? The most important thing, but then ultimately, obviously, to be able to create the wealth that they want to create for themselves. So the training at Appreciation has grown over the last few years to the point where it is today. We're able to, develop people a lot faster. We spend a lot more time with our people. The marketing plan, which I won't get a ton into, but it actually speaks to the fact that we put the focus we put on training our new agents, the more money kind of everybody makes, the way the organizational payout is structured. So the more success you have as a brand new agent, the more success we have, the more money we make as the trainers, right? So the system is that, it completely supports the new agent. It creates the opportunity for the trainer to be financially vested in the trainee's success. And, everybody wins. It's win-win. Makes it a very easy transition to come in.
Jen, you have anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, it's a foolproof process that we have here. I mean, you come in as long as you're willing to be committed, not interested, because that's where we were when we first started, right? Our income reflected us being interested versus being committed. And once you become committed, you have fun. People are like, you get paid a lot of money to just talk to people. Yeah, that's exactly what we do, is we just get to talk to people and educate people.
And so, I mean, everything sounds so great, but tell us some of those pitfalls that you guys experienced, like when you first got out to LA, or maybe even just leaving Florida and leaving your book of business there. What were some of those pitfalls that did happen for you that may have been like 2 steps forward, 3 steps back kind of situation?
Well, we had to make a name for ourselves, right? It's a business. It doesn't it's not like a 7-Eleven or a McDonald's. You get set up on the side of the road and things start coming in. This is a financial services company, right? We have to make sure that what we're doing is in fact doing good into the community. So we went out there and we tried to do it the hard way, right? And reinvent the wheel. And everybody was like, no, do it this way. And we're like, well, we think this way might be a little bit better. It wasn't better. It was a lot of round the merry-go-round, and we earned some money, and then we ran into a roadblock, and the roadblock cost us time. I mean, there were districts that I had gotten kicked out of. There were some districts that said literally don't come back here again. And it kind of put my tail between my legs and ran away a little bit, but those failures allowed us to just be who we are today, allow Appreciation as a company to be as solid as it is right now in the market that we're in.
Yeah. And can you guys share a little bit about, like, if somebody is looking for a new opportunity, what would you say is the most valuable piece of advice you could give somebody who's looking at the Appreciation opportunity?
Well, I think the most valuable piece of advice is to, especially if they're comparing it to some other opportunities that might be out there, you need to know that, first of all, you have to be with a company, right? If you're going to build a business with a company, you have to be with a company that supports you 150,000%. You have to be, you have to have somebody that's got your back constantly. One of the greatest things about Appreciation is that they're just always there to support you. And then you also have to have a ceilingless opportunity, right? You can't put caps on what you're able to create. If you're really, wanting to find something where you can just go right after it, go out and get it and do everything you could possibly do, make as much money as you want, build a generational legacy. The Appreciation financial opportunity certainly has that about it. And it's just so hard to find in today's marketplace. The majority of it, even if you're opening your own business, you're still making the bulk of the revenue you're creating personally is going in somebody else's pocket. With Appreciation, it's just not like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you two, I really appreciate you guys coming on. At the end of this summit, I'm going to bring you back on for some really like laser beam questions about like, what do those boundaries look like for couples working together, and how do you guys have those happy faces when you're 24/7 around each other, especially with the distance learning. So I really appreciate you guys sharing your time, and we'll bring you back on in just a little bit. I'm going to bring Mary back on now to ask some questions from.
Ooh,
Do we
that
have
was
questions?
really good.
Right?
Man, so they've been in Florida. They came out to LA, of all places, and then they went back to Florida. So, and with
I honestly don't think they needed another fire season. They couldn't handle it.
no,
So,
I don't think any
hurricane season out there, but if you're used to something like you're used to hurricanes or you're used to fires, it's a little bit different than, being transplanted into a place and then having to deal with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think we have Brett and Mercedes up next. Is that
Oh,
right?
yeah. Let me talk a little bit about those two, because
Okay, tell us.
whenever I first started with Appreciation Financial back in 2011, Brett and Mercedes were, of course, two of the people that I met when I was at this personal and professional leadership training company. They weren't married yet. They just started the office about a year before I came in, and they have an incredible story as well. I'm not going to steal all their thunder, but I love these two to death. They're like my brother and sister, especially Brett. We have like a brother-sister relationship. We get into these little scuffs and then we get over it, just like, when I used to give my brother noogies and stuff like that back in the day. But our kids love each other, and we absolutely have such a great time together.
It sounds like you guys are family. So you work together, and it's really more of a family, getting to really know each other, where I feel like, Holly, nowadays in corporate, you don't have that sense of community. I don't know about anyone else that's out there working in corporate. And corporate's great for some people. It really is. But I know at my last job that I never really gelled with anyone. I didn't have those close friends, those close relationships. So what I get from you guys is that this really is family. This is an extension of your family.
It definitely is. I mean, we talk about it all the time, our appreciation family. And, there's been times where Brett and Mercedes, I've had their kids for a couple nights because they needed to go take care of a time whenever Brett's sister.
It is family. If you're taking someone's kids, that's totally family. Because I barely take my own nieces and nephews.
Well, let's hear their story, because it is incredible.
Let me get off and let's bring them on.
You guys laughing back there about me and Brett being brother and sister, giving each other noogies.
Right, exactly. We've definitely had a whole lot of brother-sister interactions and all that good stuff. So thanks for having us. We appreciate being on. This is awesome.
Absolutely. Well, you two have an incredible story. I know when I first met you, you guys weren't even married yet. We're juggling 4 kids at the time, with the 5th on the way. And so share a little bit about your story and how you guys were able to really build this empire that you're building with Appreciation Financial.
Well, I'll tell you, it was certainly been a journey, and we've had a lot of fun with it, right? And not fun. There's been some not fun days as well. As we're filming here from our San Diego office. We opened this office in July 2010. I had been in the industry for some time. Hadn't had the success that I really wanted, and it really wasn't until we stumbled upon, and this is really when we created the company based upon the teacher school district market. And initially, when Mercedes and I first started dating, I had 3 little ones and she had 1, and she was like, "What in the world do you do? Because you're not working a whole lot, right?" And so I was goofing up the system every which way that you could. I had some good deals in there. I was attempting to date her, and it was appealing as far as the flexibility. I said, "Well, look, why don't you come into business with me?" And she came into business with me, and you can imagine at that time, it wasn't all just glitz and glamour. And so we had to figure some things out. And the CEO of the company, Terry Kennedy, he says, "Listen, you're on your way to making a 6-figure income, but in order to do a multiple 6-figure income in the schools and that sort of thing, and have a successful business operating, you're really going to have to turn around and teach and train some other people." And so he actually met him here at the parking lot of our office here, and he says, "Listen, this is your office. Fill it up. Don't let me down. Don't let you down." And so it really does go back to the center, in my opinion, of appreciation, as far as being in business for yourself, but not by yourself, right? And someone else believing in you enough until you believe in yourself. And so we first opened the office. I was in one office, Mercedes in the other, and she's making calls to schedule interviews as we're looking to teach and train some other agents. And we end up doing 28 interviews that month. And Mercedes would help with all the different things. I mean, from every single facet of the business, as far as processing the sales, even going to schools. Jen talked about getting kicked out of some districts. We were literally at a luncheon, and Mercedes got kicked out of a luncheon, right? So there's some experiences that I believe we've probably made all the mistakes in this business that somebody could make in this business.
They didn't like my shirt, to be clear. They didn't like your shirt. The woman at the front desk said those shirts aren't allowed. It was literally just like a long sleeve lace shirt with a tank top in it. I didn't see what the big deal was, but sometimes you have a little
lesson learned, right?
Wear that shirt. Yeah. So, you guys have really, when you guys first started too, like talk about the small living quarters, you guys had some small living quarters as well. Like Jen and James were not the only ones that started in a small apartment, right?
Oh, right. No, we had, we're going to keep it all the way real, right? We had one car. We had a 1-bedroom apartment where we would essentially put the kids in the bed when it was time to go to sleep, and then we would sit on the couch till watch TV, nightcap, that sort of thing. When we were ready to go to bed, I had to move the kids from the bed to the couch, right? And so that's exactly how things were going at that time. Things have changed dramatically since then, but I mean, those are the good old days, if you will, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
They were still good.
They were still good. We had a lot of fun.
Absolutely. Yeah. And so, I mean, just like transitioning, you had to transition as well, right? Brett, you had another business that you were doing to help pay the bills. It was a night business, so it didn't conflict with what you were doing during the day. But talk a little bit about how you transitioned and sold that business or got rid of that business so you could focus full time on appreciation.
So I ran it back. Everybody's looking at the best bathroom attendant to ever do it, right? So meaning that a bathroom attendant. Have you ever heard of a bathroom attendant? They've got the gum, candy, cologne, mints, that sort of thing. I ran my own bathroom attendant service throughout Southern California. Freed me up during the week to be able to run this business here. But ideally, I dreamt of the day where I could work in this business full time and have a multiple 6-figure income coming in. And so, but I had to obviously pay bills. And so I had the bathroom attendant service that was running. And around the time when we first started dating, that's when things really started picking up, especially started working with the teacher school district employee market. That's when things really transitioned for me. I said, I have such a great opportunity here with appreciation that I've got to let this other business go. It just doesn't make a whole lot of sense for me to work in that business necessarily anymore. And so it was just simply brute force and just saying, hey, I got to make this thing happen here with appreciation. I think just especially when the company was younger, we didn't have, just like Adam and Jen talked about, we didn't have as much of the training materials or support that we do have today. And we talk about the mantras and getting better every day. The company's gotten better every single day and every single year that way. So there was a lot of just intestinal fortitude of us just simply making it happen.
And having more kids, that's definitely helped. We didn't have couch space for the next kid. So there's a lot of money to make when you end up with 6 kids. So in California.
Well, and the other thing too is, we were talking about our relationship, but it's not just us. It's not just Bobby and myself with you guys. Like your best friends are in this company, and it's who you spend your time with. So Mercedes, why don't you talk a little bit about that? Like, the getting better every day is awesome, but the helping people, creating that life-changing wealth where you're able to just go hang out with your best friends when you want to.
Yeah, that's absolutely the best part. So, especially right now, I mean, even before distance learning started, I told Brett, I'm like, hey, we have to go somewhere. We need to go to the loan. We need a vacation. There's no way that I can deal with all these kids and be okay mentally. So the freedom to be able to do that, Terry and Amanda, the CEO and his wife that happens to be our best friends, it's like we really just get to get up and go anywhere, really, if we wanted to. And so that's a big thing. And so even Jen Johnson, Holly, and Bobby, we've all become great friends, and it's super valuable. Holly, you and I don't always agree, but it's great because we're both strong women and we get to give feedback, and we might cry a little bit, but it's all for growth. So that's truly valuable. And don't do it today.
Oh, I'm not crying today.
You're good for that one.
So, just like you talked about it a little bit, Brett, but just like Adam and Jen talked about, like the training and everything that we have in place now for new people to come on board. Talk a little bit about that experience and why it's so exciting right now for what we have going with Appreciation Financial and how we're able to stay successful with this change in our work environment.
So I think obviously more now than ever, obviously there's unprecedented times. And I think it's important that a company stays ahead of the curve. One of the things, the greatest things that I've been in business with Terry, since 2006, 2007. And one of the greatest things I attribute to Terry is his vision. And he had the vision to stay ahead of the curve. And by way of preset marketing appointments, right? So preset appointments, okay? And in sales, majority of sales professionals, doesn't matter the industry, majority of the biggest challenge is not having enough people to sell to or people to get in front of. And we had solved that issue pre-COVID. And so I believe that I probably give away more appointments than most financial services agents do on an annual basis, right? And so we had already solved the appointment challenge in the industry. When COVID-19 happened, essentially it was a subtle pivot for us to just add a Zoom link to these preset appointments. And I mean, just the business just continued to grow like wildfire. The support that we're receiving now via Zoom, from home office, from the local teams, from the next level of leadership. I think, some of our major insurance carriers and partners, $30 billion companies like National Life Group, I mean, have reached out and said, I think that the success that Appreciation is having is attributed to the next level of leadership. So it doesn't have to be just all Terry Kennedy driven. I don't believe this company is very personality driven. I think it's very more so team driven than any other company that's out there.
Yeah, absolutely. Mercedes, did you have something you wanted to add?
I was just agreeing.
I thought you were getting ready to talk. Well, I know I'd love to hear, so what's the vision now? I mean, you guys have you had that vision of filling the office up. You've done that a couple times. I was in there. I moved out. Krista was in there. She moved out. Gerardo was in there. He moved out. So you filled that office up many times. What does the vision look like now?
Well, I'll tell you. I got a sign over here that my wife made for me because I set the goal to have 500 agents by December 31st, 2021. So that is the goal. So we're working tirelessly to create that. That's 500 agents across the nation. I know 500 sounds like something crazy, but you got to think about how many more people we can help that way. Even initially in that July 2010 conversation with Terry, he said, hey, you can only help so many people on your own. And so the reality is you're going to need to have other people helping you help a lot of people here. And so that's the goal, is the 500 agents.
So I had a question, Brett. How long have you been in business with Appreciation Financial?
I have been in business with Appreciation since the beginning, right? There was I am number 5.
What?
Yes.
Oh my!
Yes.
So you really know the ins and outs, and you've actually experienced the growth, not only in agents, not only in clients, but in the training and the support that Appreciation Financial gives to new agents coming on board.
Tremendously. I was there before we had a website, before we had a public website, before we had an agent back office, before all of it. Yes.
Wow, that's impressive. So you've got stories. You know what, Holly? We're going to have to do another show where we're just sharing those old school stories, because that's what
we got. I started about a year and a half after all of that happened. And back in the day, we would have our commission report, totally different than now. We'd have to calculate what we thought we were supposed to make, send it in, they would verify it, and then we'd get our check paid on Friday.
You guys probably didn't have desks. You had a TV tray, or the school desk, broken chairs. That's how it
We
gets
didn't have
started.
wireless printers. We had to step over the cords to get out, in and out of the office. I'm telling you, we've got stories for days, for
Oh,
sure.
we're gonna talk. I know that you two have you got some great stories. So it sounds like, as Mary Rose said, from a humble beginnings, right, to this great success. So I'd like to ask a question for our audience. Brett, if someone were interested in getting started, I'm sure part of it is fear. Is this the right opportunity? And how much is it going to cost them? Let's be real. Like, let's keep this real. How much am I going to have to invest for this business? Like, just a ballpark figure.
Right. They're going to have to invest a whole lot more time and energy than they are going to have to invest money-wise, right? Meaning that anytime you're doing something new, you're doing it consciously versus subconsciously, right? So it's going to be exhausting that way. Money-wise, in my opinion, this is the best opportunity in American business. You show me another business that's better, and I mean, don't tell Terry, but I would go, right?
I was like,
I just don't know of a better opportunity, right? For the person that says, hey, I'm okay. I want to help people, right? So what I believe, what comes from the heart goes to the heart. So cost-wise, it's around, let's see, $280 to get a life
insurance. That's it?
That's in California, right? So other states.
Oh, we're in the most expensive one, right?
Right, exactly. So relatively cost-effective to get started and get something
That's
going.
nothing. Do you know, I've spent thousands of dollars my first year in business wasting money. So I just want to, I believe Flossie Hall just joined us. My girl Flossie Hall, shout out. It's Flossie or Moni. I did some shout outs. I was texting people like, I've got a summit going that you guys need to hear. So Flossie and Moni, they are the co-founders of AMSE, Association of Military Spouse Entrepreneurs. And she just said she knows a lot of military spouses who, and it's hard for them to get a job and keep it because they're moving. Now, this might be a good opportunity for them because they don't have to be in one place. The business travels with them.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Yeah, we have a guy on our team. He's been in he started here in San Diego, then he was in Las Vegas, then he was in Tucson. Now he's back in San Diego. So definitely a great position. A lot of teachers that are spouses to military also like to plug into appreciation for some extra income because they can wherever they go. So
I didn't think about the military spouse entrepreneur. I'm a part of that network as well. So I might just have to share this live video over there in their private group and say, hey, yeah.
It definitely, like Brett was saying, it definitely is more time. The other thing is that just like any sales job, there's a sales cycle. So somebody who's coming into business does need to be prepared that it's going to take them a good 6, 8, 10 weeks to start really having that pipeline filled up. And so
I thought you were going to say 6, 8, or 10 months. I was like, okay, so you just have to, but you're like in 10 weeks, you could realistically be having that pipeline, things coming through that pipeline.
Oh,
that's really just over 3 months.
Right.
That's not $300, 3 months. I can really have my own business and have a great support team. Well, sign me up. No, not today. So it sounds like a great opportunity for a lot of people for a lot of different reasons. I'm really glad that we are getting this story out because, as I said at the beginning, we need to help people more than ever right now. We need to come together. We need to share opportunities. And we also need to encourage people because I think people are a little down. They're a little discouraged. They're a little concerned and they're a little worried. So hopefully this gives them some hope, encouragement, and provides them with an opportunity that might be the right fit.
Absolutely.
Right. Yeah.
So as I mentioned to the Johnsons, Moores, we're going to take you guys off camera, but really start thinking about those answers around setting boundaries, how you guys can live together and work together, and all the glory that comes with that. So we can really answer those questions at the end. We'll do like a little round robin. You guys can share your nuggets on how you keep your sanity working together. Everybody asks me, how can you work together and live together and do 24/7 together? I'm like, oh, it's not as bad as you think it is. So we'll share that. We'll share that in the final round. Thank you guys so much for being on. And Mary, you gonna come back on?
I am, because I want to help introduce the next person. The next guest speaker here is Robert Gray. You might notice that Holly has the same last name. because it's her husband. And I personally do know Holly and Robert, and I call him Bobby. And I do know her story. And I can't wait for you guys to hear Holly's story and Robert's story of how, Holly started and then kind of brought him along. And I'm always interested, Holly, in how you can work together as a couple and not kill each other. Like, that is like a secret ingredient that I want to hear. But let's get Robert on, and I will remove myself, and let's hear.
Well, welcome to the show, Bobby Gray. I call him Bobby also. So I'm always the one who tells our story. So I'm not going to do that today. I'm going to pass the baton over to you and let's hear it from your side of the story, because I always share our story.
Okay, I wasn't expecting that, but okay. So how we found appreciation was kind of interesting, because we were living in Southern California, San Diego, and Holly had a volleyball club. I was a contractor, and then the financial crisis hit, and wasn't the best time to have a volleyball club. Kids sports, that's one of the first things to go when people's budget starts going away. And construction was drying up. I was doing everything I could to pay the bills, and I was stressed out beyond belief, because I was really struggling to make ends meet and to provide for my family. And Holly and I had a heart-to-heart, and she said, "What can I do to make it easier on you?" And I said, "You know what? If you can just do $1,000 a month, that's it, just $1,000 a month. Just if you can bring that in, that would take so much stress off of me that I feel like I could breathe, and that would keep our heads above water." And so she found this opportunity. She met actually Brett Mercedes and Terry Kennedy, the CEO, at this event she was out in Las Vegas. And they had offered her this opportunity to save the volleyball club, is what she thought, to save the volleyball club and bring some money in that way. Well, fortunately for us, that didn't work out that way. The volleyball club went away, and she went into appreciation and started working. And I believe it was her second month or something like that. She's like, "I'm going to bring in $950 this week." I was like, "What? Oh, that's awesome." And then a couple months later, it was like, "Oh, I'm making $2,000. And then, I don't know, it was like 5 or 6 months down the road, she was going to make over $15,000 in one single month. That's when I started paying attention to the opportunity and went, "Okay, wait, tell me more." Because in construction, you do the job, you get paid for the job, and you got to find the next job. And so I looked at the comp schedule, and it just blew my mind how you could get paid initially and then get paid later, a year later, and then get paid a year later. You bring someone else in, you teach them how to do it, and then you can make money off of what they did. It just blew my mind, the compensation structure that appreciation has. I had never seen anything like that, and it was so different than construction that it really took notice. So that's when I really got on board with the appreciation, and we started formulating a plan of, okay, we're going to support Holly in making this grow. And she just took off like a duck to water, and or I guess the term is fish to water. Anyway, took off like a fish to water and just really started doing really well in the business. And what that allowed is, well, let me backtrack. My dad has been in construction his entire life. And if you see my dad now, he's broken down. His body, it's hard work. It beats the body down. And I didn't want to turn into that. And Holly definitely didn't want me to turn into that, because that's the road I was going, being in construction. It was hard work. It's physical. And we have a young child. We're in our late 40s, and we have a 7-year-old. So I'm looking at, like, how am I going to play with this guy when he gets to be 10, 15 years old, if I'm, I can't hardly get out of the chair without taking a bunch of pain meds and doing all that kind of stuff. So it became Holly's goal to make enough money to where I could get out of that construction business and come into the financial services business with her. I wish I would have done it 10 years sooner than we did.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I can't promise Mercedes anymore if I'm not going to cry. So anyway, when we did get pregnant with Jackson, he was our little miracle baby. Prior to that, our nephew came to live with us, and as we finished up the guardianship paperwork, that's when we got pregnant with Jackson. And that really was my goal, was to make enough money. And hey, by the time our nephew moved in, Bobby's construction company had picked back up. He was making a pretty good living again. He was making 6-figure income. So it wasn't like I just needed to replace, a little bit of money every month. I needed to not only do what I had been doing now that I had been seeing some success and appreciation, I needed to also create enough money so I could fill that void, because a 6-figure income is, when both people are making a 6-figure income, that's something to write home about, So for us, that was really what we needed to do. But Bobby, what would you say, like, your favorite part is as far as appreciation goes now? Because obviously, we've had some success. You get a lot of grief for, sometimes me making more money than you, but I know you like me being your sugar mama. So we're all good there. But what would you say your favorite part of appreciation is in being with this family?
Wow. Other than the trips that we get to go on every single year, we've been to so many places in the world that, I mean, it would sound like bragging if I told everybody. I mean, other than that, it's the flexibility of the schedule to know that if I need to go do something with my son or my wife or something like that, or a family member or anything, or even a friend, if I need to go do that, I can make that happen. And our niche market is school employees. So it's easy for us to take time off when our clientele is off as well, right? So that means when my clientele is off, my kid's off too. So I have the same schedule as my kid, which makes doing stuff with as a family very easy. The flexibility is really one of the top things. Plus the fact that I can leave a legacy, because I can build a business and then I can leave it to my kids, and it'll break my family cycle of dying broke or in debt, because my family doesn't have a great history of that.
Yeah, so I love that part too, that we really get to leave a legacy. I love that we have several people on our team that are also 100K earners, that we're not only providing for our family, but we also have now a team of people who are providing for their family. That's one of my favorite things about Appreciation Financial, the creating life-changing wealth, which is one of our mantras. It's not just about creating it for us, it's who else can we help? And we have brought in several of our friends and family members that are, on our team, and they might not be family by blood, but they definitely are family to us. So it's really rewarding to know that not only are we changing our future and our legacy, but we're also helping others do the same. And what would you say? I mean, I know so Bobby and I also moved up to Orange County about 2.5 years ago. We started our business in San Diego. I had been commuting up to Orange County to open an office up here, and we really just didn't find the right leadership to put in place here in Orange County. So what would you really say has been the transition since we moved up to Orange County? Because I know your business has really exploded since we've been up here, separate from mine.
I'm sorry, ask the question again. I'm sorry.
What would you say has been the difference? Because our business, especially your business, has really exploded in its own right since we moved up here. What do you think that is? What do you think is the reason?
It's hard to say, but I think the main thing for me is I've been able to kind of take ownership of it's my office now. I'm not in somebody else's office. It's my office. So as James was talking about earlier, the culture, I was able to create my culture. I controlled my culture, and I was able to do things my way. But the great thing, what made it easy to do that though, was the system that was in place from Appreciation, from up top. There's a system there. As long as I followed that system and I kept it with that system, I was able to have success, and I'm able to bring people in and teach them how to keep it, to follow that same system. I don't have to reinvent the wheel every time with somebody. I just need to make sure I follow the system, and that's what's made it the easiest is following that system, which has made it easy to control the culture and all that kind of stuff.
Absolutely. And then also recruiting your own people too, I think has been really key, because, sometimes we have people that come in on our team that maybe aren't somebody that we connected with. And so really having that connection with the people who come in on our team in our area, I think it really gives us a better, and also being in the business every single day in the location that we're in has really helped us too, I think, up here in Orange County. So I'm going to go ahead and bring Mary back on because there's all these questions about how do you work together without killing each other, but I want to bring the other couples on too. So
let's
to come back on and ask away with your questions.
So Brett and Mercedes, you're still muted. If you could just unmute yourself. So I think one of the biggest questions for our audience is, okay, we talked about how much does it cost? It's really your time, right? How long does it take to actually see your pipeline filled? We got that 6 to 10 months. So this is something that you could. Weeks. See, again, in my head, I had months because who has a pipeline filled in 6 weeks when you're just starting? Sorry about that. Thank you. I think one of the questions that the audience is looking at. So, you know what? Tell us when it didn't work between you guys. Like working in the same house, working in the same business, and you have a family. You guys, somebody tell me, how do you create boundaries? Because as of today, we're all working remotely. And one of the biggest obstacles are people not putting boundaries around when they're working at home remotely. So at 5 o'clock, they don't stop. And that causes issues with their spouse or their children. So being that you work together, you live together, you have your family all in that same house, tell me what you guys do to make it work. What do you set boundaries? Do you just say, hey, Holly, work till midnight, I don't care?
No, Johnson's, I know you guys are over there, just I can see it.
Johnson's, tell me how do you make it work? Do you just work 24/7? Do you have boundaries? Do you give him all the work? What?
I'm not going to pretend like it's easy. I'm not going to pretend like we stay within our boundaries all the time, because we definitely don't. Part of the reason for that is because we love what we do, right? So we love to talk about it even with each other. So that makes it incredibly difficult to separate from business because we're so passionate. We love it so much. But it's what you said. Boundaries don't appear. You have to create those. Jen and I struggled through that for years and years and years, building businesses together. It's you have to figure out, specifically like for us, and our household ends up being our sacred space. We have our kids here. This is where we eat dinner, right? This is where we want to be able to sit on the couch next to each other and not wring each other's necks. So just small things that we ended up having to create, like like if we're going to have a business meeting, okay, we're going to talk about business. We separate that from the house. And it might be something as small as going out on the back porch with a glass of wine, right? But it gets us out of the house so we can go have that business meeting. Her and I work very, very well together, but we work so well together because we think so differently, right? It's
interesting.
Yeah, so it ends up being, probably one of the biggest keys to our success is that we're so different, but also, of course, that turns into a lot of headbutting, right? So we try to separate, obviously, get away from the house, get away from our kids, literally go into kind of business partner mode when we have some of those business conversations, make sure that doesn't bleed into our marriage. And we've gotten very good at, thank God, took a while, we've gotten very good at, being able to have that business argument if it needs to happen, and then so what are we doing for dinner?
Perfect. So you have to learn to separate is what Absolutely. I'm taking away from the Johnsons. And then Brett and Mercedes, what tips do you have to anyone that's looking at this as a opportunity to work with their spouse, and you have kids and you're working in the same, the same space, and dinner and entertaining and sleepovers with kids and virtual learning? How do you keep it all working? And go ahead and share the nitty gritty and the dirty. Like, tell us, the ugly story, because we want to hear that too.
I think we take a lot of compromise, and he's the head of our household, and he's definitely better in business than me, and I definitely run the household. So I think that it's a lot of work deciding, who is what in our family. So he can be on conference calls. I'm doing distance learning or shopping or cooking and all these things. But one thing that's important to me is that we have dinner every night together. So people are calling. I'm like, no, you're not taking that call. It's not, no, they can call you back. why are they calling you at 6 a.m. if it's 9 a.m. for them? Like, have some respect. So this is the things that happen, you know. I think that, but it's important just to communicate. And I mean, you know,
but I also think that there's components that a lot of times people don't want to bring certain things to me, and they'll actually be a lot more open to talking to Mercedes. And so it's almost like she gives me insight though as to what is going on with different people that we're in business with, how to better approach them as well. Because there's obviously there's male energy, there's female energy, and a lot of times it has to coexist, and therefore we're able to coach one another on how to better communicate with male female counterparts or colleagues. As far as the especially age and the virtual and pandemic quarantine and we to the monotony a little bit. I mean, we got a puppy, we go to the dog park, and teaching the kids different things. We have games with the kids, date night, especially date night, breaks up the monotony of in the environment. Just like we're talking about, hey, take a glass of wine outside or something like that. I think it's important to manage that environment a bit, right? So just not there at the come here to the office. We've got a smaller office where we're maintain the social distancing guidelines. There's not a whole traffic, but I mean, I think change the environment.
So we had a comment over on LinkedIn. Somebody said, I love seeing all the power couples, but can you do it on your own? So obviously today we do these summits. Yeah, for everyone that's watching, we're doing monthly summits and we're bringing on different people from Appreciation Financial to share their story, to share their journey. And so today, this monthly summit is all about the power couples and how to work together and keep your marriage intact. But absolutely, you can do this business all on your own. Does anyone want to talk about that and just touch on that?
Well, I mean, when I started in my business, I started on my own. I started off having to make $1,000 a month. I spent a lot of time learning the business. I knew I was going to be successful in this business just because I've been a salesperson my whole life. I knew it was just a matter of learning the process. And also I was so comfortable in the schools from my previous profession of being a volleyball coach. I was in the schools all the time. So I knew I was going to be successful in this business. And there's a lot of people who start, they're like, oh, I'm going to quit this. I never once thought I was going to quit Appreciation Financial because I just believed in the mission. I believed in Terry Kennedy and Brett Moore and all the other leaders that were there. Even though Brett Moore and I, sometimes we would be at each other, I knew deep down that he cared about me, he cared about my business, and that he was going to help me be successful. So absolutely on your own. The one thing about Appreciation Financial is we always talk about being coachable, accountable, and hardworking. And I think the other thing that we have to add to that is just being willing, willing. Because a lot of times people can be coachable, they can be accountable, but sometimes we ask them to do something and even though they might maybe yes a little bit, if they have to be willing to do whatever it takes to be successful. And you can't quit. You just cannot quit.
And that's in anything in life. I mean, business, relationships, running a marathon, right? You have to be willing to put in the work so you can be successful. It doesn't happen overnight and it doesn't happen without the work. So I always tell people, like, when you see those things online, make $100,000. I made $100,000 in my first 2 months of business. I'm like, no, you didn't. You've been in that business way longer. So don't believe those scams. You've got to put in the work, folks. It doesn't happen overnight, but you can start your own business here with, the large company behind you, Appreciation Financial, and with an amazing team and training. I love training. So I'm so glad to hear that there's a proper training in place now. Because I'm all about, you got to train your employees, your staff, whatever you want to call yourself. You have to train people and you have to give them the tools that they need to be successful. If you don't provide the tools in the training, you can't expect your people to be successful. So I love that about Appreciation Financial. So Bobby Holly. Yeah?
Oh, go ahead.
Well, I'm going to ask, so Bobby, how tough was it working with Holly when you started? You can tell us.
So to the not rainbows and roses and stuff. She didn't she didn't train me. I wouldn't allow her to train me. There was no way that would have worked in our marriage. We had somebody else train me.
That's good.
We knew that. There's no way I could take training from her. It just wouldn't work, and vice versa. There's no way I could train her, right? It just wouldn't work. So we had somebody else train me to do it. We don't talk a lot about like individual cases too much. We talk more of our business as a whole because we're over top of, we have a team of, I don't know, what is it now, honey, 150 or something like that people. So we talk more on a when we talk business, it's more on a higher level about the overall team. We keep it away from the individual stuff. It's like, if I start talking about a client and she starts going, well, you should do this or you should do this. It's like, I wasn't asking you for that's when the trouble starts, is when we start doing that to each other.
I will say that as you have grown into this leadership role since we've been up here, you've been much more open to giving feedback about like how to better respond to women or how to better respond to this agent or that agent. So I think you're a lot more open to it because that's just part of the growth process. Is you got to get to a growth place to where you're able to take feedback, because I have to take feedback from the people who are, above me, like Brett or Terry or whoever's giving me feedback. And sometimes I don't like it, but I got to listen to it and then take it in and then digest it. And sometimes Bobby doesn't like it coming from me, but when he thinks about it, it is definitely something that is, he comes back and it's like, that was really good advice. I put that in play and this is how it works. So
yeah, you've got to be willing.
Covered a time or two.
Awesome. So you guys, we're at 3:00, so we should probably be wrapping up. I'm going to put up your contact information. So for all of you that are watching, don't stop watching now. We're not quite done. I have a little video to show you, and I have the contact information because I'm sure that one of these people you can relate to, right? So whether it's Mercedes or Brett, or I want to call him Adam, but it's not Adam. It's James and Jen.
No.
Right? Or Robert or Holly, whoever here on screen that you're like, I like their story, I can relate to that. Reach out to them individually. Just have a conversation. I'm always, I have someone who's looking for a job. We're not going to say their name, but I always tell them, be open for the conversation because you never know where that conversation is going to lead you. And I learned that myself by being open to a conversation a few years ago. So that's my advice for anyone looking for a new opportunity. Just have a conversation. You don't have to sign up for anything. They're not going to take your money or make you, sign an application or anything like that. Just be open to the conversation. Be open to something different, something new, and reach out to someone and just set up a time to talk about what it's like and what that path looks like and what you should expect and what they will expect from you. Anything else you want to add, Holly, before I
will add that we do have corporate overviews every week. And if you text the word WOW 2020 to the number 71441, it's on the screen now. You can get the information on those corporate overviews. So if you're not quite ready to reach out to one of us, this is a way where you can go ahead and get plugged into a corporate overview. We have those on Tuesday at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time and on Thursday, 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So that's a way to get plugged in. But of course, we're going to have our contact information. And I just want to say thank you, everyone. Thank you to the Moores and to the Johnsons and to my favorite person, Robert Gray, for being on the summit. It was really fun. And I think we're ready to close it out, Miss Mary.
Yeah, so I'm just going to start removing people because that's what I do over here. So I'm going to go ahead, you guys. I'm going to close it out. Holly, this has been great. I really hope that we provided some insights and that we encourage some others that don't give up hope in 2020. It's been a crappy year, but there is hope. There is a light at the end of the tunnel, and this could be the new opportunity. And so we hope that you'll reach out or, text that WOW 2020 and get more information. So I'm going to leave you guys with a short video and the contact information.
Wow. 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 Wow.